Dear ladies, Kira began with a friendly smile, addressing her loyal assistants. Please carefully hang these splendid robes. Place them where they will immediately catch the eye of our precious customers. Kira's smile was genuine, and her commands sounded like affectionate requests. Of course, Kira, one of the employees, responded with enthusiasm, quickly taking up the task given by her supervisor. How are our sales going? Kira asked the next question, attentively examining the merchandise, including sauna sets and soft terracloth items. This month, sales are a bit underwhelming. Kira, the second woman, spoke while continuing to arrange the assortment on the shelves. It might be due to the May holidays. Everyone is busy preparing kebabs and enjoying the outdoors. Right, Kira replied thoughtfully, putting the finishing touches on the arrangement of hangers to create a more harmonious display. But don't forget to always offer our products. You never know what holidays people have planned. Kira once again moved through her store, lovingly and attentively inspecting every shelf and corner. The young woman always strived for her boutique, specializing in elite home furnishings, to look impeccable and catch the attention of every customer. Kira paid special attention to the selection of her employees, even hiring saleswomen exclusively through trusted acquaintances. For her, it was important not only to have the skills to perform their duties, but also moral qualities, especially honesty. The products in her boutique commanded substantial prices, and access to them was limited to well-off clients. Therefore, Kira's business concept was significantly different from selling ordinary household items. She didn't just sell things, she provided people with a unique style and comfort in their homes, so unique that it had no counterparts in the mass consumer market. For this reason, upon hearing rumors of potential dishonesty among some of the saleswomen, Kira personally made the decision regarding their employment. She had an unparalleled sense when it came to people, and none of her chosen employees ever betrayed her trust, avoiding any fraudulent activities or theft. Furthermore, the store owner always paid her employees on time and often rewarded them with bonuses if they truly deserved such recognition. Getting a job in her boutique was a challenging task, but those who honestly fulfilled their duties had no reason to complain about the treatment or payment delays from the management. Suddenly, one of the employees, who was busy rearranging merchandise, turned pale, her eyes filled with horror as if she had seen something terrifying behind the boutique's door. What's wrong, Anna? Kira asked, not taking her eyes off the frightened girl. Nothing, Kira, she mumbled, almost dropping all the goods from her hands. It's just that a customer is coming in with whom we had a recent small conflict. Raising her eyebrows in surprise, Kira began to express her doubts about this belated disclosure. However, before she could make any comments, the store's doors swung open, and an enraged woman stormed in, looking like a fury. Her appearance left much to be desired. She appeared unkempt, her makeup was loud and garish, and her clothing consisted of a cheap synthetic sweater with stretched-out knees. Jean, you gave me an unpleasant surprise yesterday, she screeched, pouncing on the saleswoman. I came here because an honest person should always defend their rights. And what will you tell me? She addressed Kira politely, stepping forward, causing Kira's surprise. Displeasure and irritation gradually built up in her voice as she was unhappy with this strange woman's behavior. Where is your boss? The woman rudely inquired, standing directly in front of Kira. Kira responded with the same cool confidence. Do you have any questions? Anna told me about your dissatisfaction. Maybe I can help resolve your issue. The customer raised a haughty eyebrow, as if she believed it was time to assert her priorities. Your girls sold me subpar merchandise yesterday, she declared, tossing a beige kitchen towel onto the counter in front of Kira. Your website states that all household textiles are made of linen. Yes, that's correct, Kira confirmed, maintaining her composure. We only sell products made of cotton and linen. All our textiles are natural materials. The woman furrowed her brow gloomily, her face taking on a grim look as if she were trying to play the role of a sinister clown. Her bright fuchsia lipstick, applied to her lips, complemented her appearance, giving her a certain extravagance. Let's see what your so-called linens you've handed me, Kira, the customer murmured, an expression of confusion playing on her face. However, she remained composed and added, Please, do not insult my employees, it doesn't suit us. The hysterical woman's face contorted with a grimace of contempt and anger. Do you think you can tell me what to do while standing here? You're probably used to deceiving people like chopping cabbage. Huh, it's all right, I'll tell everyone how you treat customers here. Her voice grew sharper, and she added, Rita, unwrap this towel, she said with a contemptuous and mocking tone, causing Kira to flinch involuntarily. She made an effort not to succumb to provocation and avoid a scene with this audacious woman. Let's keep our composure. We are always ready to resolve conflicts, Kira calmed her, taking the offered towel in her hands. However, as soon as she touched the product, she could feel that it wasn't the kind of product typically sold in her store. The cheap synthetic material, only resembling real terry cloth, disappointed Kira. Even the tag in the corner was sewn crooked, which was an unforgivable mistake, as Kira personally controlled every shipment, and their quantity was limited. So, what do you have to say about this? The customer commented with a mocking tone, her gaze filled with mockery. Kira first looked at the woman in surprise, then turned her gaze to Anna and Mila, her loyal saleswomen. What's the story here? Kira asked them. We really didn't sell her anything, Anna pleaded. She came in yesterday in the afternoon and started claiming that we sold her this towel, but there was nothing like that. We're sure of it, Mila confirmed. She's just trying to scam us and get money from you, Kira. We would never sell her anything like that. You've known us for years. Kira paused for a moment. She did trust her employees and understood that this woman was likely a scammer causing a scene. Kira had heard of cases of product substitution and attempts at deception. However, she decided that she needed to make sure of it herself. Do you have a receipt for your purchase? She asked her with a stern face. The woman mumbled incoherently, I don't remember, my head's been a mess all day. I came in for a kitchen towel, and when I got home, I found this synthetic junk. It became clear to Kira that she was being deceived. Suppressing a smirk, she continued, Can you at least remember approximately when you visited our store? I will call the security service, and they will check the camera records to confirm or refute the sale of this item to you. If they confirm your version, my employees will be punished, and you will receive a full refund. The customer instantly scowled, her face expressing annoyance and disappointment. Kira smiled inwardly, as if she had swallowed a massive lemon. How naive she was to think she could fool my employees, she thought. Not worth it, Kira said sourly. I'm not willing to spend my time on explanations and proof for you. You might believe that I should refund your money and even compensate for your losses. Kira carefully folded the towel and handed it to the woman. If you don't want me to call the police right away, just take your merchandise and leave my store, she added. We highly value our reputation and have never sold subpar items to customers. What you attempted here is a criminal act, but I'm willing to be merciful and chalk it up to a misunderstanding and geomagnetic storms. If you leave right now. The woman silently took the towel and, without saying another word, exited the boutique. Anna and Mila breathed a sigh of relief and rushed to their boss. Kira, you handled her so well. You're amazing. You didn't lose your composure. She caused a whole hour of commotion here yesterday until we promised that she could meet with you, Anna exclaimed with relief. Kira carefully looked at her employees, then with a serious expression, she addressed them. My dear girls, remember that in such situations, it's important to report to me immediately. Even though our store is located on a prestigious street, and our customers are usually decent people, it doesn't mean we are immune to encountering swindlers. If you had informed me about what happened immediately, I could have used the security camera footage or contacted the police right away. Don't worry, girls, she reassuringly smiled, understanding their embarrassment. We all make mistakes, especially when we find ourselves in tense situations. The most important thing is to be attentive and cautious next time. If you have any suspicions about a customer, contact me right away, and never panic. Scammers like this woman often try to take advantage of our inexperience. Perhaps she just bought a cheap Chinese towel somewhere and decided to deceive us to avoid awkward conversations. The saleswomen promised Kira that they would be more vigilant and careful in their work in the future. Kira, lost in thought, felt as if time was slowing down during this traffic jam that stretched along the highway. Her car was immobile, and she immersed herself in reminiscing about the challenging journey that had brought her here. Celebrating her 32nd birthday this year, Kira could proudly say that she had created herself. In the orphanage where she spent her childhood, dreams of a successful career and marriage seemed distant and unattainable. However, unlike her peers who often saw their future as bleak and hopeless, Kira displayed incredible determination from a young age. She excelled in her studies, devoured books and knowledge, and when the time came to choose a university, she easily got a scholarship. Now, sitting in this traffic jam, her mind was filled with thoughts of how she could have ended up just another girl who, at best, would be mopping floors in some store or office. She often witnessed such fates among her acquaintances, and her heart burned with resentment because she believed that even they, if they had the same willpower she possessed, could have achieved more. Instead, many of them succumbed to debauchery and hopelessness, preferring to accept life as it was. Of course, Kira didn't avoid difficulties either. Like everyone who left the orphanage, she was given a tiny one-bedroom apartment on the 5th floor of an old building. The first years of her independent life coincided with the moment when she had to do some cosmetic repairs. She looked at the walls and windows, half of which had to be carefully sealed with paper and insulating tape to prevent the cold autumn winds from getting inside. Often, Kira pondered what set her apart from her classmates and friends from the orphanage. She realized that it was a ravenous thirst for life. Literally, every opportunity to improve her situation motivated her. She was willing to go through all the trials to achieve the level of life she had always dreamed of. Enrolling in the foreign languages faculty, Kira believed that her dream was to become a professional translator after completing her education. She aspired to work for a publishing house or a major international company. Despite her ambition, she knew that the road to success required diligent work and unwavering determination, and she spared no effort to achieve her goals. While her fellow classmates were busy starting romantic relationships, Kira preferred to spend her nights with textbooks or immersing herself in audiobooks in foreign languages. She also devoted a lot of time to pronunciation improvement courses. As a result of her diligent work and determination to achieve her goal, Kira graduated from university with honors. Just a few months after completing her university education, Kira had the opportunity to work for a large international company. Starting as a secretary referent, she also took on the role of a translator. It was at one of the company's corporate events that she met Mark, her future husband. At the time, he held the position of the director's right-hand man and acted as his chief deputy. Mark was almost 5 years older than Kira, but that didn't prevent them from immediately feeling a strong attraction to each other. Mark was cheerful and had an excellent sense of humor, which was a stark contrast to his businesslike and serious appearance in the workplace. Mark explained his behavior by the constant need to remain vigilant and anticipate possible threats from competitors. The company's director was already in his mature years, and the unhappiness of his life was the absence of a family, children, and a wife. There was an urgent need to prepare his successor from among the most talented employees of the company. Mark was among these talented individuals, but his ambitions were not aimed at taking the director's chair. Instead, his heart was passionately set on securing a brilliant future for the company. Soon after they began working together, Mark and Kira started dating, and Kira realized that something extraordinary was by her side. Their relationship developed rapidly, and 6 months later, they had a lavish wedding with many guests, including colleagues from the company. Mark's parents were initially cautious about Kira, but they soon became convinced that she was the right match for their son. A year after the wedding, Mark became the director of the company and put all his efforts into its prosperity. However, the most amazing part of their journey was yet to come. 6 months later, Vlad passed away from a stroke, and it turned out that he had left all of his property to the family. Mark was taken aback by this decision when the notary read the will in front of him and Kira. Now the entire company belonged to them. Kira felt a tremendous responsibility, but they were both happy that their dreams had come true. Mark and Kira purchased a large house in the countryside and moved there, starting a new chapter in their lives full of possibilities and bright prospects. Mark and Kira's lives underwent radical changes. Mark transformed into a respected and serious entrepreneur, and Kira finally had the opportunity to pursue what she was passionate about. That's why she decided to open her own boutique, pouring her heart and soul into it. Kira dreamed that her unique home decor items and designer goods would help create a distinctive style in every home and bring joy to her customers. The peaceful years spent with Mark in marriage continued to bring joy, but he remained just as dedicated to his work and frequent business trips, spending entire days away from the family. Kira, engrossed in her business, dreamed of the day when she and Mark could soon have a child of their own. However, their lives were suddenly confronted with a serious issue. Despite numerous attempts and medical examinations, they couldn't conceive a child. Kira consulted with many doctors, but the answers were almost identical. No significant reasons for infertility. Relax, minimize stress. She was distraught and couldn't understand why their perfect life had suddenly encountered such a glitch. "We've been together for 6 years already," she told one of the doctors. "Maybe there's some kind of incompatibility between us that's preventing me from getting pregnant." The doctor, offering his comforting words, emphasized, "The individual characteristics of each person imply a different path and timing for the realization of dreams and desires. Don't lose heart, the best will undoubtedly come. Perhaps your time has not yet arrived. However, Kira didn't ask him when exactly that time would come, and in the depths of her being, the question remained whether she would have children at all. For Kira, the absence of children seemed something abnormal, incompatible with her preconceived and meticulously planned world. In one of those moments when she and Vera were enjoying the atmosphere of a cafe, Alla suggested, "Listen, have you ever thought about consulting a psychic? They say they can help identify obstacles, like curses or hexes. Maybe it's worth a try. Orkovka is not far, after all." Kira looked at her friend and with an uncertain voice replied, "Alla, dear, to be honest, I don't see the need to turn to psychics." Looking at her perfectly flat stomach, Kira internally pondered that perhaps an internal psychological barrier was preventing her from relaxing. However, she quickly realized that such an idea seemed unlikely, given that there had been no excessive stress in her life. Suddenly, Alla gave her a strange look and asked the following question, "By the way, Kira, are you sure that everything is okay between you and Mark?" Kira was taken aback by her friend's unexpected persistence, and pressed for clarification. "What do you mean?" Alla leaned forward, almost crossing the table's boundary, and whispered in her ear, "I mean, what if he has another woman? You've been together for so long, maybe he's found someone on the side, and that's why he can't fully dedicate himself to the family." In response, Kira recoiled as if she had been scalded, and her eyes displayed displeasure. "Alla, seriously, where did you get such thoughts? Mark would never do that." Alla instantly responded with dramatically offended words, "Well, I'm sorry for daring to ask. I was just thinking about how he's so often on business trips and works late. After all, who knows what really happens at his meetings?" Kira sighed with deep understanding and requested that they not discuss this topic further. "Alla, please, let's not talk about this anymore. I trust my husband completely, and everything is fine between us. If you and Vova have problems, it doesn't mean all men behave that way." Alla feigned an offended look, and the atmosphere in the room cooled slightly. Kira decided to lighten the mood with a smile and gently said, "Maybe our love just isn't meant to overcome such everyday difficulties." By everyday difficulties, you probably mean my aversion to cooking, housekeeping, and constant shopping sprees for astronomical sums. Alla responded with a tinge of sadness in her voice, "Well, and instead of all that, he's taken up with some village beauty on the side. They say she makes excellent pies." Vera noticed that her friend was actually deeply wounded by her past relationship with her ex-husband but tried not to show her pain to Kira. To ease the tension, Kira suggested, "Okay, Alla, I apologize for my nervousness. Maybe I should really listen to the doctor's advice and relax a bit, spend the evening at home in the bath with some fragrant bubble bath." Their peaceful agreement was concluded, and they ordered a serving of huge ice cream for both of them. On the way home, Kira thoughtfully pondered Vera's words. Perhaps it was worth reevaluating her fears and concerns regarding Mark. After all, they had been together for many years, and maybe she was placing too much pressure on herself and her husband. Mark might indeed value having heirs to continue the family business, and she felt that he, too, was somewhat anxious about the situation, as was his former boss. Soothing herself, Kira headed home. However, upon returning home, Kira breathed a sigh of relief and instantly immersed herself in the embrace of a hot bath filled with fragrant bubbles. Memories and dreams brought her unparalleled tranquility, until a loud car horn sounded, nearly ringing in her ear. "Hey, lady, are you going to move, or are we going to wait here for an eternity?" came the persistent voice of a driver from the neighboring car. Kira remembered that she was still sitting behind the wheel of her car, and a minor traffic jam in Konevo lay ahead of her. Without hesitation, she quickly pressed the gas pedal. Recalling how she got lost in her thoughts and memories in the bath, she realized that she had been on autopilot and had delved so deeply into her musings that she lost track of time. Kira looked at her wristwatch and was horrified. Almost a quarter of an hour had passed since she had returned home and started her bath. Mark had likely been waiting for her for quite some time. They had agreed to meet at 1:30 at the business center, and Kira decided to hurry so as not to keep him waiting. Kira walked down the corridor to her husband's office, passing by other employees who exchanged polite greetings with her. However, as she was about to knock on the door, Chris, her husband's secretary, appeared before her as if by magic. "Good day, Chris," Kira greeted with a friendly smile, reaching for the doorknob. "I've come to see Mark. He was expecting me, right?" Chris responded with an innocent smile and long eyelashes. "It's great that you've arrived, Kira. To be honest, I was starting to worry and was thinking about calling you, but I decided to wait, hoping I wouldn't have to bother you." Kira paused and looked closely at the young woman. Chris had been working in her husband's company for 3 years and had never given any reason for doubt. She had always been polite and diligent, and perhaps occasionally displayed excessive emotion, but that was perfectly normal for young people her age. Chris was only 23 years old. Kira felt her voice quivering, and a note of concern undoubtedly seeped into her words. "What's happened to Mark, Chris?" Chris shifted the folds of her knee-length pencil skirt and sighed, as if it was difficult for her to even speak. "This morning, he simply didn't show up at the office. I couldn't believe my eyes," Kira gasped, realizing that she had gotten lost in her thoughts in the bath, and almost a quarter of an hour had passed. "How is that possible? I was supposed to come here with him for lunch, and we had an agreement about that. He was supposed to wait for me," she thought. "Yes, it's true, before we left home, he didn't even call me once." The secretary's words heightened Kira's anxiety. "I haven't seen him all morning. I even tried to call him, but he just doesn't answer the phone." Chris's voice sounded genuinely panicked, and suddenly, Kira felt her heart racing. Kira understood that this could only mean one thing: something serious had happened to her husband. She told Chris, "Can you open the office for me? I want to check. Maybe Mark had a sudden important meeting, and he just forgot to tell us about it." Chris nodded and hurried to the door, inserting the key into the lock. "Honestly, Kira, I don't understand what could have happened. Mark, he has always been so punctual and proud of our company." Kira asked Chris to calm down and open the office. She reassured the secretary, saying, "Everything will be fine, I'm sure. It's probably just a misunderstanding." Chris agreed, but her blue eyes still reflected the worry she couldn't conceal. While Chris prepared coffee, Kira decisively began inspecting the documents on her husband's desk. Kira had never been inclined to snoop into other people's affairs, but in this situation, it was important for her to find out what had happened. She searched for Mark's workday planner, which was usually kept in the first drawer of the desk. In it, he recorded important dates and meeting times, and then duplicated everything in his tablet. Kira didn't find any information about whether her husband had any scheduled meetings at this time, but she noticed an important meeting in the planner that Mark had evidently missed. Chris returned with the coffee, and Kira thanked her. Then she asked, "Don't you think this is strange?" Chris, still uneasy, replied, "Mark doesn't allow anyone to be in his office without special permission." Kira reassured Chris and asked her to wait a few more minutes. Then she took out her mobile phone and decided to call her husband. Perhaps he simply didn't want to answer, assuming it was his secretary calling. Kira didn't feel jealous of Chris, but it was important for her to make sure her husband was okay. To be continued in the next video.